Yo. So, we just wanted to address a lot of the questions that I was getting today.
I look significantly whiter than you right now. Yeah, okay, so
shade.
We've gotten millions of questions, obviously, over the past little while about us being biracial. So we just wanted to go into it and, like, dispel a lot of, like, notions that people have. First of all, there's no such thing as white culture. There's North American culture, there's European culture, but there's no such thing as white culture.
And you can't embrace white culture because it does not exist.
And all of the things that you think when you say, oh, embracing white culture, those are Eurocentric ideals of, like, wealth and superiority and Americanism, and they're things that usually people of color invented and that you're now, like, taking. So, like, oh, I'm British, I drink tea. Well, you took that from China, so it's not like all of the things that are white culture are actually just stolen things from people of color. So technically, there's no way we can embrace our white culture in that sense.
And also, there's no way that we can embrace white culture in the sense of identifying as white as well. Like, yes, I can say that I'm biracial because that's what we are. We are a mix of two races.
But there's no possible way for us to identify as white. Because, for example, we spent our entire lives up until very recently trying to identify as white. And we verbally would identify as white, mentally identify as white, and tried to snuff out everything black about us as much as possible. And the white community not only ostracized us for trying to be white, they told us that there's no possible way we could be white. The white people invented the one-drop rule, so, I mean, there's no possible way. And on top of them saying, like, no, you are not white, you are not one of us, you are other, they also laughed at us for wanting to be white. So, even if we tried, which we have, there's no possible way for us to identify as white. Third of all, we are half Finnish. Half white. I'm half Finnish. My mother is Finnish. My mother's family is Finnish. We identify as part Finnish very much. We
embrace Finnish culture as much as possible.
Just as much as we embrace our Jamaican culture in terms of nationality rather than race. Mm-hmm. However, because of the way white superiority and white supremacy has dictated races, we have to embrace our black culture, and we've learned to embrace it and love it and thrive in it. So, I mean, to ask us if we pick or choose or even, like, balance it, well, there's no such thing.
Even saying you don't have to pick and choose, like, don't just identify as black, you should also identify as white.
That's impossible.
You can't do that, because literally,
the minute you are not white, you are other.
You are other. And there's no way that either of us or any other biracial person who has any kind of white in that can identify as white. Sure, I can say that my mother is white, and it's true,
but that does not translate to us.
It just doesn't translate to us because our father's black, and so that makes us black. And there's no way for us to embrace being white because we're not white.
Exactly.
And if you try to embrace being white and you're not only are you going to feel so confused because you're fighting the facts, but there's nothing about the black or the white community that will ever accept that. Yeah. There's no part of whiteness that will accept you're identifying as white if you are not. So, yes, we identify as half Finnish and half Jamaican because that is exactly what we are, and we embrace both sides of those cultures as warmly as we possibly can. But there's no way, like, and one person said, oh, your followers might get confused and think you are racist because you only identify...
Once and for all, you literally cannot be racist to white people. Racism is not hurt feelings. Racism is not race hate. Racism is based on is based on a institutionalized system of oppression based on one group having the power, oppressing another group. The disenfranchised group will never have the power and cannot oppress the powerful group. It's physically impossible. I don't know what other words I can use, but it's like saying, like, a tiny man cannot height the tall man. It's impossible. I don't know, like, there's no other way for me to, like...
And so there's no way, if we're gonna identify as black, how that can somehow translate to racism. Even if we were just say we were half Jamaican and half Indian, okay? And we embrace the black side of our culture. We embrace the Jamaican side. It doesn't make you racist against Indians. It just means that you identify, like, identification and racism, one does not become the other.
And that's the problem.
It doesn't follow.
That's the problem with the white interpretation of racism is you think that it means race hate. I'm actually reading a book right now that I feel like everybody should read. It's called Ain't I a Woman by Bell Hooks, and it talks very clearly about what racism is as
an institution.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not I don't like one race. I am prejudiced against one race. I am discriminatory. Yeah, I'm not discriminatory against one race. It is systematic. It is oppression, and it is all of those other things, but it is not solely those things.
And discrimination is not racism. Prejudice is not racism. And race hate is not racism. Exactly. And also, we don't hate the white race.
I'm so sick. White people want to be included in everything so badly that...
Oh no, everybody else is getting hated on. Why aren't we being hated on?
Exactly.
We're being left out. We are always included. I want to be included.
And it's so funny because, like, you're the ones that made us ostracized, and now you're upset that you're ostracized from the ostracized group? Really?
Like, you separate yourself and then you're like, why am I alone? Like, you did this. You actually did this. And the more that you ask and be like, oh my gosh, but like, you hate me, you hate me, you hate me. It's not going to make me hate you.
Exactly. I don't. Sorry.
It's not going to happen.
I know. Maybe when the day that my, like, stupid white boy thirst goes away, maybe then I'll hate white people. But for now, I'm plagued by loving white people. I mean, not as, like, an idea. More like individuals.
Because there's some really hot white people out there.
Mm-hmm. And my mama's half white. I mean, my mama's white. Anyway, gist of it is, please think about, no, not even think about, please do your research and realistically learn about what racism is before you start, like, making assumptions about who we are as, like, outspoken black women.
And because before you make assumptions about what being biracial ought to mean and what it should mean to us, because those assumptions are never going to be what biracial means to us. It's just
sorry,
because ours is coming from an understanding that has to do with, like, you know, history and fact and not blind assumption and not race hate. So,
anyway, this will be the official video for anytime someone asks us about us being racist or biracial. So, later, losers.